Everybody ready? Well, thanks for coming. We're excited to announce the conclusion of one sweep, but a continuation of a partnership between us and the U.S. Marshal's Office Eastern District. We have partnered with the Marshal's Office for many, many years, a great partnership in tracking fugitives, folks wanted for crimes. It's critically important that we work together. Criminals don't recognize boundaries, and so we have to work across boundaries, whether it's across county boundaries, state boundaries, or sometimes even international boundaries, to find and track down individuals that are wanted for violent crimes. And that's what this particular operation was focused on. It was called Operation Egg Hunt, and it was conducted over 3 days last week. A combination of resources from the U.S. Marshal's Office Eastern District of Detroit. I'm joined today by Chief Deputy U.S. Marshal Jimmy Allen, representing the Marshal's Office of the Eastern District here. That was an integral part with our efforts to go after individuals. We were kind of seeking particularly about 100 focused folks that were wanted for felony crimes and had outstanding warrants. And over those days, they targeted those individuals of those 100 violent offenders with a felony warrant or a history including violent criminal activity, sexual assault, kidnapping, robbery, gunshots, narcotics, sex offenders, things like that. And during that 3-day period, culminated with 36 arrests, so almost more than a third of those that we were seeking were taken into custody. An additional number of those cases were tracked down and cleared. Some were deceased, and some other kind of information came forward. So ultimately, they were able to clear out quite a good number, 10 of which were sex offenders. Actually, 3 people heard that we were looking for them and gave themselves up. So that's on top of the 36. So you're approaching 40. Pretty good 3-day effort. Some of the folks that we're going to highlight are 3 cases from this effort. They were taken into custody. Timothy Williams was part of a case where he had shot and ambushed a victim in an apartment complex. And they learned in the investigation he was hanging out with another wanted fugitive, Antoine Smothers, who had outstanding warrants for assault on a police officer and domestic violence, among others. And Smothers was arrested in Pontiac, and Williams wasn't there at the moment, but heard the task force was looking for him and turned himself in later that day. Kendrico Martinez was wanted for 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct. That individual had forced his victim into a variety of sex acts, and he was arrested in Burton, Michigan as part of this effort. Javon Draper was located. He had kidnapped his daughter and fled the state with her. His ex-girlfriend had a custody agreement that prohibited that. He was located through the task force efforts with partners in California and was arrested in Palmdale, California. So those are 3, just to highlight some of the ones that were tracked down in this sweep, with, again, a total of 39 in custody as a result of the effort. There are some that we're still looking for, obviously, based on the numbers I gave you. And we'll put them up individually. We have Joshua Carlos. He's wanted for weapons charges, firearm possession by a felon, resisting arrest, larceny, domestic violence, among others. Marico Miller is wanted for home invasion. Whoops, got those a little out of order, don't I? Brittany Cottrell is wanted for aggravated assault. And Marico Miller. You went backward, Tommy, didn't you? There it is. is wanted for home invasion, assault with intent to do great bodily harm. He had kicked in the door searching for his victim, his ex-girlfriend, and assaulted her by knocking her down and choking her into unconsciousness. So still looking for those three. We could use the public's help with that. Crime Stoppers will be issuing some information about them. And if that information leads to their arrest, it can be subject to up to a $2,000 reward. So we could use the public help to find the three that we just talked about. We appreciate any tips that come in about anybody that's a wanted violent criminal. The focus of this, again, is people that have a felony warrant, that have violent felony warrants or violence in their past. And any criminal justice study will tell you there is a small percentage of people that do a large percentage of the crime, especially violent crime. And if we can take them off the street, it makes communities immeasurably safer. And we've seen that in the city of Pontiac with our partnerships with the marshals, with the DEA, ATF. They have targeted violent offenders, and it dramatically drops the amounts of violence in the communities. And so we appreciate our partnerships with our federal partners, and in this particular case, the U.S. Marshal's Office. I'll kick it over to the Chief for any thoughts.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. The United States Marshals has a unique ability to connect federal, state, and local resources by building task force partnerships through joint investigations in efforts to locate and apprehend violent felony fugitives in our neighborhoods. Last week's multi-agency operation displays our commitment to public safety, rule of law, and joint agency investigations. Our longstanding partnership with the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and many other great agencies in the Metro Detroit area has been an invaluable tool to prevent and deter criminal behavior in our communities. I want to personally thank Sheriff Bouchard and the Oakland County Sheriff's Office and many of the other great agencies in the Eastern District of Michigan that help with these ventures. They send over their best and brightest to assist with our enforcement mission. Thank you, Sheriff.
Questions?
What is the impetus for doing something like this, and how often do you guys do it?
Periodically, we look at, how many warrants are outstanding, what are they for, whether it's internal, if it's a partnership, so we're constantly looking at who's out there that's wanted, what kinds of crimes have they committed, and, obviously, if they're violent offenders, that impacts our multipliers if you take them off the street.
You say this will continue, so what are you looking to do next? How will this?
Well, they've still got, 40 plus folks out there that we're looking for, three we just highlighted. And tragically, we know there are people that will maybe have court dates pending and not show up for violent offenses, and they'll be added to the target list.
And just talk about the importance of the partnerships with other agencies to track down all these people.
Again, it's invaluable to have partners that are capable of covering different geographic areas, but also have different resources. So we may have a resource that one agency does not, and they may have resources that we don't. You combine them, it's a force multiplier. Then on top of that, it has a broader reach. So the individual arrested in California comes from that kind of partnership with federal agencies and local agencies trying to work together with, all being challenged these days with limited resources.
Do you have a message for those who are wanted and have not turned themselves in? Do you have a message for them?
Turn yourself in. It's simpler to turn yourself in. It's probably going to be more helpful in your court appearance that I gave myself up rather than, being found hiding in some basement against your will. It doesn't show much remorse or any commitment to let the process play out.
You guys show up looking for someone, or is it usually sheriff's departments and marshals together? Like when you go to a location, and did this all go pretty smoothly?
Yeah, typically they're running together or they're communicating.
And it all went, like, as far as these arrests go, it all went smooth.
Give me some idea of the geographic scope. I know you said you had people making an arrest out in California, other states as well, or mostly local?
You know, I'm not anything out, other than that case out of the state. Yeah, most of them were targeted in this area.
There's another one in California and one in, our partner in Lansing.
The one by Burton.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and if you could share the pictures of the folks that were just highlighted.
Is there a release on that stuff? Like,
We'll put that out, yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put out the, you know, their pictures.
Stuff.
Yeah, we'll put out stuff. That's the technical.
Feel free to
press
use
term
plenty
for
of
that.
stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.